distant. But his eyes never stopped moving, darting between the men, watching, calculating. Then the first man disappeared. Perhaps he wandered off, delirious from hunger. Perhaps someone ensured he wouldn't make it any farther. No one questioned it. No one spoke his name. They simply trudged on, dragging their exhausted bodies forward, their breath forming clouds of ice in the air. Then another man was gone, and another. The remaining men were too weak to question the vanishings. Their minds, dulled by starvation and fear, refused to acknowledge the horror unfolding around them. Packer, however, remained strong. Too strong. He moved with an unnatural energy, his eyes gleaming with something beyond survival. Then came the final night. Israel Swan, the last remaining member of the original group, awoke to the sound of heavy breathing. His vision blurred from exhaustion, but through the darkness he saw him, Alfred Packer, crouched near the fire, his hands coated in something dark, something wet. A glistening bone protruded from the flames, a human bone. Before Israel could react, a flash of steel cut through the night. A scream died in his throat. The cold steel met flesh, and the fire crackled with renewed life. The last witness was silenced, the Butcher of the Mountains. 2 months later, on April 16, 1874, a gaunt, wild-eyed man stumbled into an outpost near Breckenridge, Colorado. His hair, tangled and unkempt, clung to his forehead in damp tendrils. His clothes, tattered and stained, hung from his skeletal frame. In one hand, he clutched a rifle. In the other, a metal coffee pot. Alfred Packer had emerged from the mountains. The outpost officials, startled by the ghostly figure before them, hurried him inside. They placed food in front of him, and he tore into it like a starving animal. His hands trembled as he shoveled meat into his mouth, his teeth gnashing, his lips smeared with grease. Then, suddenly, he clutched his stomach, retched violently, and vomited onto the floor. "Sorry," he gasped. "It's been a long time since I've had real food." The men exchanged uneasy glances. When questioned, Packer claimed the others had died one by one, taken by the merciless winter. He told them he had survived on tree bark, on roots, on anything he could find. The officials nodded solemnly. It made sense. The mountains were cruel, the cold was deadly, but something gnawed at them. Packer wasn't emaciated. He was thin, but not skeletal. Not like a man who had spent 2 months starving. And then there was the matter of his coffee pot. It still held hot coals. The cannibals' camp. Months later, when the snow finally melted, the horror of what had truly happened was revealed. On August 20th, 1874, an artist named John Randolph was hiking through the San Juan Mountains when a foul stench filled the air. The sickly sweet rot of decay. He followed the scent, stepping cautiously through the underbrush until he reached a clearing. The first thing he saw were the bodies. 5 men lay in a row, their corpses in varying states of decay. Some were skeletons, their flesh long devoured. Others still bore the raw wounds of butchery, their chests split open, their organs missing. One man had no head at all. Randolph staggered back, bile rising in his throat. But his eyes kept moving, drawn to the fire pit. Blackened bones, cracked open for their marrow, lay among the charred wood. Beyond the pit, hidden among the trees, was a crude shelter, its interior littered with gnawed human remains. Packer had not just survived the winter. He had feasted on his companions, justice for the dead. When confronted, Packer wove tangled lies. He stammered, insisted that he had only killed in self-defense, that the others had turned on each other, that he had no choice. But even as he spun his tales, there was one thing he never denied. He had eaten human flesh. "I liked the taste," he finally admitted. "I couldn't help myself." The jury did not hesitate. Packer was sentenced to 40 years in prison, but fate is cruel. In 1901, at the age of 92, the Butcher of the San Juan Mountains was granted parole. He lived out his remaining years in quiet obscurity, a shadow of the monster he had once been. In a final irony, he became a vegetarian. The legend lives on. To this day, the San Juan Mountains remain haunted by whispers of Alfred Packer. Travelers speak of footsteps crunching through the snow, of unseen eyes watching from the trees. Some claim they've smelled roasting meat where no fire should be. And on the coldest nights, if you listen closely, you may hear it, a low, hollow laugh.